YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today, guys, our last showcase, or hopefully not the last, we'll talk about the other archetypes that's still going to be added into the game, but not sure if it will be added by next week, though. Regardless, what we're going to talk about today is the new Altergeist supports. And there's like 4 or 3 new supports that's going to be added into the game for Master Duel within the month of April. This is a typical showcase, and we're going to talk about the core deck list, or the core cards that you'll use, the Master Duel deck list that I prepared for you guys, and a brief combo line that you can use for this deck alone. So without further ado, let's go first to our core cards. Alright, for the core cards for the Altergeist, we have a couple of cards here. The new ones are just typically Penetrator, Malwest, Revitalization, and the new linked monster, which is the Adminia, which is a really good, it is a typical change of heart. So first and foremost, card by card with the other Altergeist cards alongside the newer ones that's going to be added into the game. Just for the new viewers who are interested or might be interested with the Altergeist archetype. So first and foremost, we have here the copy of Conquery, which is a level 5 monster. When opponent's monster declares an attack and you have this on hand, you can spell summon this, negate the attack. If this card is spell summoned, you can target one face-up card on the field, or your opponent's control, negate the effect. As long as this card is face up on the field, that card is also negated. So 1 copy of this on your deck because you don't want to brick on this. And typically battle phase effects are kind of like weird, and you just need 1 copy of it. The copy of Marionetter, the one bread and butter card as well. I have a combo line with this with a copy of Multifaker later on. So Marionetter, once this card is normal summon, you can set 1 Altergeist trap card directly from your deck. Your typical target for this is the hard brick, which is the Haunted Rock. We'll talk about the Haunted Rock in a bit. Then you can target 1 Altergeist card you control and 1 Altergeist monster in your graveyard. Send the 1 on the field to the graveyard and the 1 from the graveyard to your field as a special summon. That's a really good effect, and that's the only effect there. Your typical targets for that in their graveyard, it's either a copy of your Silcoitus or a copy of your Multifaker. Multifaker, 1 spell summon to the field, can spell summon another monster from your deck to the field. So that is a really good effect. Malwisp, the new card. Once this card is added to the hand, you can spell summon it to the field. Once this card is special summoned, you can spell summon 1 monster from your graveyard to your side of the field, but its effects are negated. Although that's a minor downside, but it allows you to bring forth more materials to the field for a link summon. Typical copies for the Malwisp, you just need 2 copies of this. Also, the second copy is just in case you draw 1 during your starting hand. The other 1 can be searched out with a copy of your other Altergeist cards. Then we have the Multifaker, another 3 ofs alongside the copy of Marionetter. So like I said earlier, once this card is spell summoned to the field, you can spell summon 1 Altergeist monster from your deck to your side of the field. And of course, if this card is on your hand and you activated a trap card, you can spell summon this card to your side of the field. So Quaidus, on the other hand, you need 2 copies of this, and this card, once on the field, you can return 1 Altergeist card that you control, and you can target 1 card your opponent controls, return it to the hand as well. So it's a basic compulsory, but instead of a monster, it's generally 1 card. Furthermore, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target 1 trap card in your or Altergeist trap card in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. Next up, we have the copy of Malasik. Now, with the number of copies with this, it differs from time to time. I've seen some people just use 1 copy of this, but I think straight out the best copies for this is 2 to 3 copies, depending on how tight your deck is on a 40 card. So 2 to 3 copies might be the ratio for you. So the typical effect for this is this can attack directly, and once this card inflicts battle damage, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and send it to the graveyard. The best effect for this is once this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 Altergeist monster from your deck to your hand. So the typical targets for this in your deck is a copy of Malwisp. The next one is the Penetrator, which is only a 1-off in your deck. Basically, you don't want to have like multiple copies of this. Purpose for this is basically just drawing 1 card or dumping 1 card from the field, hand, or deck to the graveyard for another synergy of effect, like the effect of your Marionetter to target 1 of your Altergeist monster. And next up, we have the Pokery that has a similar effect as the Coders, which this can be used as a link material on hand. And once an Altergeist link monster has been summoned to the field and this card is in the graveyard, you can just bounce Pokery back from the graveyard back to your hand. So a really good card effect as well. With regards to the numbers, I just want to run 2 copies of this, but some people run 3 copies of this just to get them more synergy from the Pokery's effect of link summoning. But yeah, 2 to 3 copies, it's really up to you depending on your cards in your main deck. Next up, we have our manifestation. So target one Altergeist monster in your graveyard, spell summon it, and equip this card to that monster. Once this card leaves the field, destroy that monster as well. And you can banish this card from your graveyard and target one Altergeist trap card, add it to your hand. Same as the effect of Selquoitus. Then we have the next one, the new card that's going to be added for the supports, the revitalization. So target one Altergeist Link monster from your graveyard, special summon it. You can banish this card from your graveyard immediately, and then you can normal summon during your opponent's turn. So yeah, there's some good synergy with that one as well. And then for our next trap card, we have the Altergeist Haunted Rock. So this is one of the hard bricks that you don't want to see during your starting hand. It is, though, a trap card negate, but the main purpose for this is sending one Altergeist monster from your hand to the graveyard, which you can work with the Multifaker and the Marionetter in the combo. So with regards to the number of Haunted Rock, it's just basically 1 copy because you just need 1 copy of this in your deck. You don't want to see this during your starting hand, like I said earlier. Then we have a copy of Protocol. Typically, the activation and effects of Altergeist cards activated on the field cannot be negated, so a really good card as well. It's kind of like Branded Lost. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you can send one face-up Altergeist card you control to the graveyard, negate the activation, and destroy it. Basically, with the number of copies, just go with 2 to 3 copies. The 2 copies is just about right when I'm playing this deck. Then we have lastly the Personal Spoofing. So once per turn, you can shuffle 1 Altergeist card from your hand or face-up on the field into the main deck and add 1 Altergeist monster from your deck to your hand. So main target for this, like and always, is Malwisp. I do prefer just go with 3 copies of this. Really good card in recycling back more cards that you don't really need on your hand and gaining the extra one that you need. I think that's basically it for the main deck, if I'm not mistaken. So for our extra deck, we are running with Adminia. So the new card as well, if this card is Link Summon, you can set 1 Altergeist trap card directly from your deck to the field. So a lot of good choices that you can search out as well. Not just by the help of your Marionetter. Once while this card is face up on the field during the main phase, you can send 1 card you control to the graveyard and target 1 effect monster your opponent controls and take control of it. Like I said earlier, it is basically a change of heart with a 3k attack on the field. Also, the controlled monster is also treated as an Altergeist monster, so you can tribute the monster that you controlled for your effects. Then we have our next card is the Memorgant. So during the battle phase, quick effect, you can tribute 1 monster. The card gains attack equal to that tributed monster. And when this card destroys a monster by battle, you can destroy 1 other monster your opponent controls. And if you do, this card can make a 2nd attack in a row. That's pretty good as well on a 2800 attack. If this card would be destroyed, you can banish 1 monster from your graveyard instead as a secondary effect. Then we have next is a copy of Prime Banshee. So Prime Banshee, during the main phase, you contribute 1 other Altergeist monster, spell summon 1 Altergeist monster from your deck to your zone to discard points to. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target 1 Altergeist card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So another good recycler as well if this card is sent to the graveyard. And lastly, with our last extra deck monster, we have the Hextia. So gains attack equal to the original attack of each Altergeist monster this card points to. So when a spell or trap card or effect is activated, you can tribute 1 Altergeist monster this card points to negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So with regards to the number of copies for your extra deck monsters, the 2 Adminias are quite necessary. I think just 2 is just about the right ratios because you need more slots in your extra deck as well for other non-Altergeist cards. Memorgant, I do prefer just running with 1 copy of this, but some builds I've seen, they are running 2 copies, so 1 to 2 copies depending on the cards that you're using for your extra deck. Then we have the Prime Banshee. Go for 2 copies of this, it's quite good as a Link 3. And lastly, with the Hextia, just settle with 3 copies. You don't want to lessen the number of copies with this. So with the core deck list out of the way, let's go towards our Master Duel deck list that we can use for the game. Okay, so here we are with the Master Duel deck list that we'll use for the game. So like I said earlier, the 1 copy of Conquery, 3 copies of Marionetter, 2 copies of Malwisp, the Multifaker on 3, and the staples, the Ash Blossom on 3, Maxi on 3. We are not running Cold Bitter Graves or Crossout here because we prefer just going with trap cards because it might work well with the Multifaker on hand. So that's really good. The only spell cards that we have is our Consistency Makers, which is the 1-for-1, summoning the copy of Molisic to the field. Prosperity searches out another card. Evenly match, really good with the current meta nowadays of Stake Eyes and Labyrinth, so that's pretty good. If you're going first, most of the time you'll have a ton of trap cards that you'll basically need for your extra deck. We are also running with one copy of Altergeist Dragvirion. So when an opponent's special summon monster declares an attack, you can return one Altergeist monster you control to the hand, negate the attack. So that's one effect there. The secondary one is once this card is distributed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon it back to the field. Now, we'll talk about this effect later on and the purpose on why I add this one in the deck, because it has its purpose. One Goddess, 2 copies of Adminia, 1 Memory Gant, 1 Access Code Talker, the Nightmare Monsters, 2 copies of Prime Banshee, 3 copies of Hextia, 1 Link Kuriboh, a really good card as well for a link, and the arrow is just pointing down just for your Altergeist monsters. And lastly, 1 copy of Anima. So that is basically your Master Duel deck list there, guys. I will be showcasing to you guys a gameplay combo that you can use with 2 cards with the Altergeist. So with that out of the way, let's go towards the gameplay showcase. Alright guys, so here we are with the gameplay showcase, and I'll be talking to you guys, or I'll be sharing to you guys a 2-card combo with the Marionetter and a copy of Multifaker. So as long as those 2 cards are going to be on hand, you will have your full board combo. So we tried to search out a copy of Marionetter with a Prosperity. Luckily we did, so we'll get a copy of Marionetter here. And like I said earlier, this is basically a 2-card combo with a full board. So, first and foremost, we go for Marionetter, use the effect. Getting a copy of our Hard Brick, which is the Haunted Rock. We use the effect of Haunted Rock. Since it was set using an Altergeist support, we will be dumping a copy of, for this combo, we can just dump a copy of Multifaker here. Use the effect of this one here, our Marionetter. Target our Altergeist card to the field, and then spell summon our Multifaker. So Multifakers, 1 spell summon to the field, we can spell summon 1 Altergeist monster from our deck to the field. So we get a copy of Malasik. This is basically a 2-card combo if we don't have other Altergeist monsters on hand, so you can just do that. But if you have others, you can just use the effect of Multifaker on hand. So with that, we can just link summon into a copy of this monster right here. There we go, Hexia on the field. And since Melosic is going to be sent to the graveyard, we'll search out a copy of Malwisp. Since Malwisp is added, we can spell summon it. And then spell summoning our level 3 Multifaker. The purpose for this is so that we can synchro summon into a copy of this monster right here. So this card is pretty good. And with that, we can just go into a copy of this one here. What's the name of this again? Prime Banshee, sorry. And then when Hexia is sent to the graveyard, we can search out the card. So our main source for this, or our main target for this, is a copy of our Revitalization. That can spell summon Altergeist Link monster. We'll talk about it in a bit. But for now, we're gonna use the effect of Prime Banshee, tribute this monster here, and send it to the graveyard. We will spell summon a monster from our deck to the field, which our usual target will be a copy of Sokoides here. Take note, do not cover this area here because we'll use that one with the effect of Dragvirion. So Dragvirion will be spell summoned back to the field since it was sent to the graveyard as a tribute. And then with that, we can go with a copy of this monster right here. Our Link 4 or our new Link 4, so it triggers 3 chains. First and foremost, we go for a copy of Adminia, setting 1 Altergeist trap card from our deck to the field. Our Prime Banshee will spin back 1 card to our hand. I would agree, or I would prefer just going with Multifaker on hand so that we can trigger it during our opponent's turn. And lastly, with a copy of Sokoides, get back a copy of Hard Rock as a trap card negate. So with that, use our copy of Adminia. We will get our protection here for the protocol. And that's basically a board. So really good. Yeah, I can just use one anyway. Let's end our turn here and play this out. So during our opponent's turn, we use the effect of, where's the Revitalization? Revitalization, special summoning our Hexia to the field. And since we activated a trap card, we'll use the effect of Multifaker on hand, spell summon it to the field. And then with Multiplicator on the field, we spell summon another Altergeist monster from our deck to the field. So typical targets for this is Selquoitus. So at this point, we have a bounce effect, two spell and trap card negates on the field, one copy that can take control of one monster. We have a trap card negate. We have also, I think this is a monster negate, and this one is for adding Malwisp. So with that, I'll give it to my opponent. So there we go. It's gonna go for that one here. We're gonna use the effect of Hextia, tribute this, and since that card is tributed, it can be spent. It can be spell summoned back to the field. Might as well gonna use the effect of Protocol for our cards to be unnegated. With that, is gonna use the effect. I am gonna use tribute this, take control of that monster here. And we have that, and then he will use Smashing Ground. I will use the effect again for Hextia. Tribute this once more for a negate. And he's just gonna set the card. Yes, I'll use the effect of Selquoitus. Bounce that back. And that's basically it, how to clear a board. And we still have a trap card negate and also searching back one card. We can also use this one here. Spin back a copy of Malefic and get a copy of our this one here for our negate of attack. So that is basically it. So with that, we can just normal summon this actually. Normal summon. Let's end the game here. There you go. Get one trap card. Is that, spin back that card, and then we'll get a copy of this to our hand. So our Pokery, we can use the Pokery on hand for our Link Summon, Link 3. And then since Pokery has been center graveyard and then we Link Summon, we can search out one card. Add it back to your hand for our Pokery. And then get a copy of Malwisp added to hand. Spell summon again. The deck is just insane with the new supports. But this card here is pretty good. And then we spell summon the Memory Gant. Very nice. So with that, Banshee will spin back one card to our hand. I would just spin back a copy of this one though. The thing about the Altergeist, they just recycle and then out-resource your opponent. So, really good, really insane deck. Attack for Hextia, 4-3. Attack for Malwisp, 1-5. Then use the effect of Memory Gant, tribute that, gain the attack, and then go for game. So typically, you don't really need like any extra deck monsters like Access Code Talker or Underworld. Your Altergeist monsters itself are really overpowered with the new supports. But yeah, tell me your thoughts on the new supports. Did you like the combo? If so, tell me in the comment section below. Tell me your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Keep safe, good luck. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe, and goodbye.